Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Sales Scoop. This is a show for startups who want to improve how they sell. I'm Alistair Cole, your host for today and co-founder of the Uplift Partnership. My background is as a computer scientist and ex-software engineer. I have 2 decades experience of B2B marketing and sales experience, and I'm joined today by my co-host and friend Kieran. Hi, Kieran.
Hi, Alistair. Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Kieran Gill. I'm also a co-founder and director at the Uplift Partnership. I've got 25 years worth of experience across business development and sales operation. I've worked in finance and also in technology.
Thank you, my friend. Well, I'm very excited about today's show, focusing on hyper-personalized outreach and how that can be used to engineer higher quality leads. And it's an absolutely critical area, given just the amount of noise that is out there in the marketplace. It feels like we're inundated with messages and email sequences and sales messages constantly. It feels very hard to cut through the noise right now. Maybe it's a good way to start about what's your definition or your thoughts on what is hyper-personalized outreach from your point of view, Kieran?
So hyper-personalized outreach for me is where you're using some kind of technology to help you assist. Now we're trying to cut through the noise, as Alistair was saying there, where what we've got here is a lot of noise out there, and we've got tools that help us to either semi-automated or probably might even automate some of the functionality by itself to cut through the noise.
Yeah, we know that's important because recent Gartner stats said that 87% of B2B buyers expect to be delighted before and after the sale. So it isn't just leading up to the sale, but afterwards too. But across the board, buyers are expecting to have their content and their experiences personalized. And this is where personalized outreach is sitting. You want to talk us through this, Kieran, or where you see it sitting in the sales process?
Yeah, so when we're talking about outreach, and especially from the hyper-personalized outreach point, what we're doing in this LinkedIn Live today, this is the top end of your funnel. So where we're talking about cold, warm, and hot prospects, this is where you're warming everybody up. It potentially, they might be people you've had contact with. They might be people that you've never had contact with. So it's the top end of the funnel. It's about getting that first meeting. That's what you're attempting to do. It's outreach. It's there to try to get you either that first meeting, or maybe it's even to get them into the web, to your website to purchase something. Yeah. Depending on what you're selling, how you're selling it, you might have different outcomes that you're probably trying to achieve.
Yeah, and if you're thinking about getting into this area, hyper-personalizing communications and outreach, then don't worry. If you're right at the beginning of your journey, you're going to get something from the show. And if you're further advanced as well, we're going to look at that too. We're going to be running through the 5 phases that are needed, that you need to stitch together in order to make it all work. And that outreach, this whole technology-powered outreach sits very much in the green segment on the left. This is in the 7 core areas of startup sales. So obviously it's a big part of lead generation. There's also big elements of sales strategy. So it sits and a little bit of customer success too. But really the big focus is on lead gen. And these are the 7 areas that we assess startups when we move through our 360 sales diagnostic. And you can also see that we break that down into 52 core metrics. So very much in the lead gen space, obviously outreach. And let's talk a little bit about where we've had some success in this area in the past. Kieran, I know you want to maybe touch on our work with Simudyne.
Yeah, so when we implemented our sales strategy into lead generation into Simudyne, it was properly hyper-personalized. What we used was several tools to do outreach, to get to the right people, to push them towards a meeting or a potential demo of the actual tool that they were selling. Now, this was quite high level and in the sense of high value. So the outreach was going to be had to be very personalized. It wasn't something that could be generic. So we had a process that we put in together, and you can see the numbers there are quite impressive, because at the time when we met our friends at Simudyne, they were really struggling to get meetings or getting in front of clients to actually even show the tool or even speak about it. So we devised a plan and also a process that helped them get more meetings, and that obviously helped them generate more sales, because they could get them in front of people. The hyper-personalization part of it was we were making sure that the people that they were sitting in front actually had that need and that pain point that they were addressing. And that's a part of hyper-personalization I think sometimes goes amiss sometimes.
Yeah, and I think, it's maybe not the easiest phrase to say, but it feels like it's quite, targeted. But actually, the philosophy for me behind hyper-personalizing stuff, really climbing into the research at every single point, making sure that the communications are tailored so that your buyer, your group of buyers, get something very special. We like to talk about it as a gift. They get a gift every time you reach out to them. And that kind of philosophy of just being outstanding in terms of your tailored communication and how you engage is absolutely key. And that sits throughout each of these 5 phases. The first one of which is data collection, right? It's absolutely critical that if you're going to undertake any kind of automated, semi-automated personalization, you've got to have good quality data, right? And what are we talking about? What are the kind of building blocks of data we should be thinking about extracting from our company if we were a startup on the call, Kieran? What kind of data should we start getting together?
Okay, so if you've been around for a few years, you've sold your product a few times, you've got a CRM system, hopefully. You might not have, you might have an Excel spreadsheet. Whichever way, you've got an understanding of who your clients have been or who your best clients have been since you've started selling your product or services. That's the first place you should go to. Also, your sales playbook. You should have one. If you haven't got one, speak to us. But if you've got a sales playbook, within your sales playbook, you should have a very, very detailed ideal customer profile, giving you an understanding of exactly who you're targeting and who you should be looking for. So that's probably your 2 basic pillars. Once you've got those, you can then spread that out and get a little bit more technical, in the sense that you might have web traffic, you might have intent data that you might be able to pull in. But as a startup, normally those 2 places are the places that I would start with.
Yeah. And talking about the importance of ideal customer profile, HubSpot reported last year that companies that had a strongly defined ideal customer profile, 68% more accounts were won when that definition was done and that work was done. So it might feel quite basic, but it's essential that you get that. It's essential that you do your due diligence on the buyer personas and you write down what the definitions of who the individuals might be and their behaviors and their characteristics and the psychographics. But also things like, as you mentioned, from the playbook, so value proposition, a lot of the kind of softer things, the definitions, because those are used to then go and do that deep research into your target market and who those target customers are going to be. And that all that information, we collect that in our own platform, our 360 sales diagnostic platform, looking at some client data, but we collect a whole bunch of data from different places and aggregate that. And we connect with other tools that you've got, whether that's CRM or sales automation tools, in order to gather the very highest quality data that's going to go into the hyper-personalization machine. Some of those are numbers, some of those are words, and we crunch that down. So that data collection phase, like, absolutely critical. Some of that's automated, some of that, my friend, has to be done by hand, right? There's no getting away from copying top line data from various sources, and sometimes those businesses don't have that information to hand. We work with them to go and dig out exactly how many first demos, second demos, other meetings that they're having, and capture that information. So that's phase 1, data collection. Phase 2 is research and recommendation. This is where we take all that data that we've mined and we use it to go out there and start our research. What are your favorite research tools right now? What are you using right now that other people should be thinking about?
My personal, I think you know that anyway, Alistair, my personal favorite is Apollo.io. It's quite a large platform. Those of you who have not seen it, it's out there. It's really good in the sense that it's a place that you can do your email sequencing in there, but it's also got a lot of data in there about potential clients and customers. You can put your ideal customer profile in there. It'll help you score your ideal customer profile. So you'll be able to start then finding out who's the best fit. You can then go through that data. It links straight away into LinkedIn. So you don't have to, it also moves straight into HubSpot. So it's integrated with all the tools that you're probably using. I use both LinkedIn and HubSpot myself. However, you don't have to. And then and what you'll be able to do there is create an actual target list against your ideal customer profile. And the great thing about Apollo, it's going to help you score those to see which ones of those are higher fit and which ones of those are lower. It takes a bit of time, like all of these tools. Don't expect to go in there and try to learn it in 2 minutes. However, valuable as anything once you've got it working, because it saves so much time.
Yeah, and I think there's also a healthy component of desk research that's needed in this research and recommendations phase. Going and digging out individual companies, looking at their website, finding out about them. We use tools like ChatGPT and various API connectors with other tools in order to go and suck information and get a very quick digest of whether that target company is one that we want to go after in order that it goes onto the recommendations list or not. So there's all that kind of semi-automated stuff through tools like Apollo and APIs, and then quite a lot of rolling your sleeves up and going through that data to work out exactly who we're going to target and who we shouldn't. You can't just let the machines run off with us, can we, my friend? And we've shown, we've talked about a couple of tools there. Obviously, some of this data is quite sensitive in terms of Sales Navigator, spreadsheets, Apollo, and other big tools that we're using. So it's difficult to show perfect examples, but some of those tools that you mentioned, Kieran, really, really helpful. And then we come back with our kind of master lists, don't we, of where we're going to go and target and where we're going to start, looking at engaging with prospects. One of the things we've covered on other shows, Kieran, is the size of the buying group, right? Buying groups are growing. It's hard to get to everybody, but you have to shepherd everybody over the line. What are your thoughts on how much research in this phase for outreach is needed of different people in the buying group, and how much research should be done?
Okay, so depending on how sophisticated your service or product is to sell into a company, there is always going to be a first person that you're going to try to contact to get in touch within that company. Now, we've spoken about complex buying groups in one of our earlier webinars, and we spoke about how you have to build that kind of account plan to get into these accounts. You're still going to be reaching out to just one person. You might have multiple people within a company that you can reach out to, but remember, we're talking about personalizing that message. So whoever you're going to reach out to, it's going to be probably the ICP, that the ideal customer profile that you've done all your homework on, that buying persona, that you say, this is the first point of contact. And the great thing about Sales Navigator, Apollo, Lusher, Zoom Info, whatever tool you're going to be using out there to collect this, it'll give you an overview of the company. So you might only be connected to the founder in that company. However, you want to target the sales manager. So through that, you'll be able to find out who the sales manager is and then start saying, right, how do I get in touch with the sales manager? Do I need to knock on the door, pick up the phone? We'll talk about how to do all of those things in a bit. But one thing about these tools is it gives you a great kind of understanding of what the landscape is at the customer's company and who's in what position. As Alistair said, sometimes the data can be corrupt and it might be dated, and depending on, now it's getting better, but however, I have always found anomalies. That's why you have to do this kind of second sweep of the data. Don't leave it all to the machines and then suddenly you're connecting with maybe the wrong kind of profile and then thinking to yourself, why isn't my outreach working? Yeah. So be careful. Don't leave it all in the hands of machines.
We rely heavy on automation, semi-automation, as well as the human checking that you just talked about. And actually we load our frameworks into AI tools and then compare companies against that. So in order to do like a first round of filtering, but absolutely you need that kind of humans and machines working together. And ultimately then we present those lists back to our clients and say, this is the final list of companies we're going to target and individuals we're going to target, and then we get sign off and move forward. And that sign off is really important because it's at this stage, at the end of phase 2, when we've got to the end of our research and recommendations, we're ready to push the button, that we're able to move forward and fire up the next really critical phase, which is about content creation. And multifaceted sales, individual targeted sales campaigns these days have so many different kinds of content. What are your current favorite, for us, what are your favorite weapons of choice or your types of content that you like at the moment, Kieran? What's working for you?
Yeah, so it depends on the person that you're outreaching to, isn't it? So please don't feel that one thing is always going to resonate with every single buyer. My personal, I do like a good PDF, my personal view, but I like a good PDF. Does the person I'm sending to, that's the person we should be thinking about. Remember, it's a present. You're giving it to someone else. So maybe they don't want a PDF. Maybe they want that in audio form. And it's the same piece of content. However, you've created it into an audio form. Or maybe it's on a video and it's a demo and it's a 5-minute, 2-minute demo on a video. It could be the same piece of content, but it could be delivered in multiple ways. And that's the one thing that we try to get over to our clients is, yes, you've created this one piece of great content, but let's make that into 5 pieces of great content, because we're all individuals and we all prefer taking information in different ways.
Yeah, there's a real cornucopia of stuff, everything from simple posts, longer blog articles on thought leadership, highly personalized white papers and 2-pagers and videos, and there's a whole plethora of content that can be created for an individual, and that might feel like impossible for people watching or listening back, but there are numerous tools out there that can help automate, semi-automate some of that. We're actually creating personalized PDF, personalized white papers, where a large portion of the white paper is standard, but at the front section, we're personalizing that with an introduction, an abstract specifically for an individual, not necessarily using their face on the front cover of the white paper, but there it's personalized for them. And then the email that goes and introduces it is obviously highly personalized, and that email and the social media direct message and the white paper itself, they are all being created automatically by Uplift technology that takes the ideal customer profile you gave us, the value proposition, and all the data around the kind of opportunities and deals that work for you, and we feed all that in, and out of the back end, a turnkey solution comes a year's worth of content, of posts, of articles, of white papers, all at the push of a button. And then we share that with our clients, and they then go and put that out. So if it's feeling like creating oodles of personalized content is hard, it isn't if you've got the right technology. Feel free to come and speak to us. But we're seeing that's really working right, my friend, that when you get, surprise, when you're more personalized, you're more tailored, you put more effort in to an individual, you get a much higher rate of engagement. So look, that's phase 4, phase 3, content creation. Let's slide on to phase 4 now, dynamic distribution. And this is, where you've got your sleeves rolled up, my friend, diving into some of the tools that you've talked about before, other tools that we use for distribution dynamically of content. How does it come together? Talk to us a little bit about this kind of dynamic distribution phase. What's in there, Kieran?
So again, going back to the content, you're going to have certain clients that might respond to certain distribution methods more than others. So, you've got your top three, what tends to be, phone calls. I know not a lot of people do those, but let's call that voice for now. You've got emails and you've got direct messaging. Now, you can use those in any such way. And probably now also you've got video in there. Now, these are all different ways of getting, content out to the people that you're trying to talk to. Now, remember, in the early phase, there's chances are that these people are cold and you've never met them. You might have been lucky enough to meet them at an event, or it might be a referral. Whichever way, they don't know you. So you don't actually understand, or you might not have an understanding of how they prefer that content to be, given to them. Do they respond to direct messages on LinkedIn? Are they better on email? Would they prefer it, to be sent by carrier pigeon? Who knows? Everyone's different. Carrier pigeons are expensive, and I'm not going to go down that route. But however, if you think about it that way, just think to yourself, now, once you've got that relationship with a client, you already know that they're going to respond to you in a certain way because certain things work for them. And you could even pick up the phone to those people and you're not so embarrassed, and it's a lot easier. However, at the start of the funnel, it might be, well, you're trying things to see whether that person's going to respond. Remember, we're talking about hyper-personalized outreach. You might have to try multiple ways of delivering that same message to the person for them to suddenly respond to you and say, hey, wow, that's great. I really understand what you're trying to say. Though you've sent that message, the same message in different ways, and they didn't get it. So this time you got it too. Maybe you meet them at a networking event and they suddenly remember you. Oh, you're the guy from the video. It's still broken. It's a part of the process, and it all counts. And it's building that process is the hard part, because what happens, and a lot of the times that the clients that we work with, they try something once and that's it. One email, they didn't want it, or one message, or you have to try multiple times. And that's why building a sequence with multiple assets is the best way of doing it.
Yeah, the traditional requirements of a salesperson to try different routes is exactly the same. Even whether your content is hyper personalized or not, you just get a better likelihood of engaging them if you tailor it. So that's section 4, dynamic distribution. And once that's gone out, once the birds are in the air, the campaigns are launched, and you're monitoring them, then we come into outcome enablement, which is focused. The whole reason for doing this right from the start, from 0 all the way up, is to try and make it a high quality engagement, turn that prospect into a high quality lead, and get them in for a meeting. Right, that's the ultimate aim. So what should people be doing immediately, Kieran? Once the campaigns are launched, we move into this kind of outcome enablement. What should sellers, B2B sellers, be doing to support the campaigns that have launched?
You've got to be constantly monitoring your communication channels. You need to respond to your client as quickly as possible. So you've created a video, and on that video, and I forgot to talk about the tool of choice here. The tool of choice for me on videos is Vineyard. You'll be able to find that also out there. Alice has found it. There you go. That's my kind of. You'll be able to create lots of videos on there. It's AI powered. Again, it's talking about hyper-personalization. You don't even have to use yourself. You can create an avatar to do that for you. It's amazing. Now, the thing with that is your client will respond to that. And the big thing is that you need to respond to your client as quickly as possible. And also, you need to be looking at this all the way through the week or all the way through the month, because you're going to be creating a lot of dashboards. Some things might be working, some things might not be. You might have created a piece of content that you think is amazing. However, the click rate on this piece of content is going down. It doesn't happen. It's not getting, or you've created an event and no one's really come to it. Or you've created another event and everyone's come to it. And you're thinking, okay. And it's that kind of data is really important. But remember that what you're trying to do here, there must be an outcome, a target that you've already tried to arrange at the start. And like I said, for a SaaS platform, it might be that you want people to go to your website and sign up for the free tool. However, for somebody who's selling services, it might be that I want a meeting with a client because there's nothing to purchase on my platform. So think about what your outcome is and what you want to get from there, and then run that campaign. We always say 12 weeks is minimum. You run the campaign for 12 weeks, and what you want out of that, multiple touch points, and by the end of the campaign, you're collecting data all the way through. So that's one of the things that I would turn around to you, say it's monitoring continuously, because if you don't, you really don't know what's going on. So making sure that there's communication between yourself. Remember, the teams that we tend to work with are kind of small. The marketing team, the sales team are working together very closely. So there's a lot of data flying around. You just need to make sure that you're all aligned.
Yes, and then one of the other things that we've touched on is the number of sales actions that people that we work with, that they have to the number of sales actions they have to perform, things they have to do on a monthly basis. And you kind of scared me a little bit earlier with the number. What was it again?
It's 618 sales actions in a month. I think a single salesperson should be doing. From 618 sales actions a month, I would expect around about at least 17 meetings. So you're looking at around about 123 conversations to start from those 618. That's about 400 off my hand. That's about 400 prospects that you're trying to reach out into a month. Of those 400, you're going to get about 123 of them starting a conversation. Of that 123, you're probably going to go around about 17 that are going to have a meeting with you. But these, because of your hyper-personalized outreach, are highly qualified, ready to roll. They know what's happening. They've got that need. So the likelihood of these people closing is so much higher than just going out there with like a pepper pot kind of process. And another tool that I want to talk about here very quickly is something that I've tried out very recently. It's called Sally.pro. These guys are pretty new to the world at the moment. They're coming along. I really like this tool. It's a personalized outreach tool that bolts onto your LinkedIn profile and helps personalize those outreach messages. It's using AI. It's using a lot of ChatGPT in the background. It's well worth a go. So it's Sally, that's SALLE.pro. Go there. I think you'll be able to reach out to the guys there. They'll be able to hook you up. We're not on a commission here. I just think it's something worth trying if you're using LinkedIn as an outreach tool.
Yeah. And these kinds of tools that we're talking about are able to automate and semi-automate some of these sales actions. So again, 618 might sound absolutely impossible as a founder, but that includes all the automated actions. So tools can take a lot of the burden away from that number. As can and if you're thinking about getting started with hyper-personalized outreach or overhauling your sales function, it needs a little bit of work, then you can do not much wrong by taking our 360-degree sales diagnostic product. We do a 90-minute interview with you and then some desk research, and 48 hours later, we send you a full score and breakdown for each of the 7 sections with bespoke recommendations, including critical first steps, and a revenue roadmap of the additional income that you may be able to generate over the next 6 to 12 months by improving the power of your sales function. And the 360 has a score breakdown just for you. We traffic light every single one of the 52 elements that make up that overall score when we provide recommendations. And then the revenue roadmap shows how you've progressed in the last 90 days with both your 360 score, but also your meetings, the deals you've got in the pipeline, what you've closed, and the income that you've generated. So if you're interested in that, you can head over to theupliftpartnership.com/360. It's exactly 12:30, so we've landed right on the button, my friend. And really the last thing is to talk about the next show. So 2 weeks today, we're going to be moving away from the world of hyper technology and into humans and relationship building. So it'll be the regular time, 12 o'clock UK, 7 on the East Coast in America, and 1 p.m. Central European time. That's Tuesday, the 4th of June, title TBC, but we're going to be climbing into the importance of relationship building. there's a big event coming up next month, isn't there?
Yep, it's London Tech Week. So that's the week after. And I think for a lot of us who are networking and trying to build those relationships, you know, it's always good to have a bit of a, you know, a bit of a brush up. Make sure that we're all doing those actions. We're ready and prepared for networking, and especially, you know, there's not so many events that you can go to that might be perfect for you. So, you know, that's a really good one in London. If you guys are around, it would be a pleasure to meet you out there.
Yeah, we'll be there at London Tech Week, and I think the focus of next fortnight's show will be, you know, how to extract the most value, which ones you should be going to, and just building relationships virtually as well, because we can't always be in the same place with in the new hybrid world. So looking about relationship building in 2024 and beyond. Right, great. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Alistair. Been great, as always.
Yeah, my pleasure. Okay, thanks everybody. Bye.